Good evening. I'd like to call this February meeting to order, and we're going to thank you all for being here, and we're going to ask Miss Charlie Mae Moon, if she will, come and lead us in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for all you do for us. Lord, be with the people in need, and thank you for all the staff and leaders of our school system. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You did a great job. All right, we have our consent items, which consist of our agenda, the minutes of the January meeting, and the overnight field trip, Skills USA to the World Congress Center. Do we have any questions about the consent items? If not, I'll entertain them.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mr. Hyman to approve, second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Thank you. All right, our next item is our tax assessors E&R correction.
Okay, we have Ms. Linda Wilgus, our tax commissioner, to come forward and discuss a correction that needs to be made to the tax.
Thank you, Dr. Gumby and board members. Dr. Gumby asked me to come before y'all tonight and inform you of the two ENRs, which is error and releases. An error and release is something that the tax assessors used to correct the bill that was done erroneously. Sutter Creek Marina and Resort LLC had filed a business personal property report in 2022 that included boats. The boats are tax exempt, so they should not have been on that form. This was discovered when the new manager, Chris Jones, submitted an inventory list in November of 2025. So then they realized that the 2023 and 2024 bills need to be corrected. Well, those bills are already paid in full and those monies have been dispersed. So I don't have that monies to reimburse Sutter Creek Marina. The total for the refund of 2023 is $6,800.61. The school M&A portion is $34,8805, and the school bond portion is $519.61 for the 23 bill. For the 24 bill, the entire bill is $57,1344. The school portion is $3,372.86, and school bond is $468.71. So total M&O for both years is $66,61.41. Total for the bond for both years is $988.32. That's a grand total of $7,849.73. And I've already informed the county, I'm going to that meeting in just a few minutes, and Industrial Authority about how much money that I'll need from them to refund Sutter Creek Marina in its entirety. Yes, sir.
How much money do we pay y'all to collect and distribute our money? Your office?
You mean percentage-wise?
We pay y'all a certain amount every year to collect our money and distribute it to the school board. Do you know that amount?
At this moment, no.
Dylan, do you know that
Are you
amount?
asking the percentage?
It's 2.5 for
That's what I said, it's
most.
2.5%, but that's what you're saying.
So what is that roughly?
7 million, 150,000, 175,000.
So we technically pay you to do that.
Correct,
So why are we paying this back?
because the assessors gave me this ENR.
But what I hear, we pay for a service.
Correct,
Okay. I'm just asking. I'm just bringing it up.
because the money was, these bills were sent out in error, and they were just discovered in 2025.
But we pay you to do that for us. I'm just asking, I'm bringing up the point. I mean, y'all agree with me or you don't agree?
I agree, but who was tax commissioner at the time?
That was,
Well, Ms. Danner was at the time, but
I'm just saying, if somebody pays me to do something and I do it wrong, I have to eat it. So in my opinion, the county should have to pay all of it. I don't know why we're paying for something we did not do. I know it was in error, but we are paying you.
I see what
Do you see my point?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we are paying you for a service, and we count on it to be correct.
But it's based on, I mean, they weren't supposed to pay the tax, so
Yeah.
they're owed the tax back, so we have to pay it back.
Actually, Sut Creek Marina was the one that made the mistake, because they
Yeah.
filed this report and they filed it erroneously. And so that's why the assessors, you know,
I'm just
gave.
asking.
Gave us those figures, and that's how they were billed.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do we have the money to pay it back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Dr. Cunningham, if you could go to if there are no other questions. I just repeated exactly what Tax Commissioner just said. And again, it was an error on the Soap Creek, and they are due a refund. And so it is a recommendation to refund the Tax Commissioner from our general fund to correct the tax assessment error. So we still can have more discussion if we need to. So honestly, Soap Creek missed it when they were doing their paperwork. Is that what we're
Correct.
saying?
When they did their 22 personal property report, they erroneously put those boats.
They put the boats on it.
Boats on there that should not have been, because they were tax exempt.
So the tax error was based on the value of the boats?
Correct. Yes, sir.
I thought in Lincoln County it was a 7,000 exemption, and everything over 7,000 was
Well,
taxable.
this is for a business, and
Okay,
they're selling them, so they don't
okay,
pay tax on that.
okay.
It's now going up to 20,000
It's up to 20,000. Okay,
for individuals. Yes, sir.
okay, thank
So
you.
who caught the error?
That was my question.
When Chris Jones, the new manager, went
Got it.
and filed his inventory list in November, he had a breakdown of everything, whereas the previous people did not have a breakdown. So when they saw this breakdown, they saw it had actually the word boats on there, and then that's when the assessors saw, you know, that's not supposed to be on there.
Y'all already paid him back.
No.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
How much is the county paying? Can you tell me that information?
It
think
was
it
up
was
I
there.
think I left that. in
Is that
my-
on there?
It was up there.
Is that on there? It's on that grant.
Okay.
Yeah. I
So
thought I
all
saw
that's
it.
will be refunded to Soap Creek, is that right?
Correct.
Y'all not charging us the 2.5% still, are you? Okay, I'm just checking. Mr. Matson was gonna ask that.
Just that amount there.
All right. Any further discussion?
I make a motion as the superintendent recommended.
All right, I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Moncrief. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilker.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next is our financials.
Alright, so tonight we have December of 25, and we'll do bond and SPOS for January of 26. So some good, some bad, or some not so good, and some more potential good. So just bear with me. Alright, so going into our revenues, so there's a huge difference between current year and prior year. That is just a timing issue. I think last year we received a check in early January, so strictly timing issue. We received roughly 2.25 million this month, so a large jump from where we have been. I think we were at like 8% last month. Our intangible recording tax, our real estate transfer tax, our TAVT, and our state grants are all extremely high. No real reason for that. Our state grants are high because of the bus funding. So we received our money, you know, we paid basically half and the state paid half for our new buses. We received that money, so that's why it's high. You see our TAVT is about 50,000 higher than it was last year. It's been higher every month. Our local, that's basically, some of that's tuition from out of state, but a lot of that's just interest that from probably August. Our QBE, we've mentioned, is about 80,000 higher a month. Just touched on the state grants, so everything is caught up through December for these, and we're caught up through January as a school system. Medicaid, the difference there is the annual report that we've talked about a couple times that we still have not received for last year. Impact aid, I've touched on, I think we got in November, so you can see there. And overall, we are ahead of where we should be in funding. And we received a lot more of ad valorem taxes in January, so as a school system, we're strong at the moment. Expenses, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, but it's really the same thing. We're still under budget, and I touched on, keeping the security amount separated each month so you can see it. So I think we receive about $145,000 a year from the state for security, and we've already spent 93. Some of that was not contract labor, some of that was improvements and stuff too, so I don't think it's just SRS. Total through December 31st, we had about $4.5 million, most of that's at Farmer State, and about half of that is in CDs. We had the 1.5 at Farmer State, and we have pulled all but one CD at F&M that we have reinvested. I'll talk about that in a minute. Big change, you can see the prior month we were at almost a $2 million deficit. Now we are pretty much break even, and you can see the prior year deficit. Once again, just a timing issue on when we collect taxes. We collect 75% of our ad valorem taxes in a 30-day period from mid-December to mid-January. So I have the activity accounts from the schools here. I won't touch on much of it. The principals can if you have questions. This is the beginning of FY26, so a lot of it's fundraising in for their trips or projects or their sports. And a lot of them keep a pretty consistent balance, throughout a quarterly deal. This is really just fundraising for something they do and they spend it. It's on to a new year. Our athletics, you can see most of our funding for ticket sales and stuff goes in the general athletics and then gets distributed to the individual sports, so you can see the activity there.
How much did we receive from playing in the Dome? Do we know that yet?
So that is a very good question. We have not received that money yet. We just received a check from Early County, which was the week before, and it was like $5,200. So not sure on the Dome. I've spoken with Coach Hopkins, and they're kind of questioning it too from the state, but we should be receiving it any day. So I will have an answer at the next meeting. Back to our CDs. So last year in January we invested 2.8. Tried to keep it roughly equal between our local banks as much as we could. We did have to pull about $800K for payroll in October, November of 25. But those penalties were only $2,300. We made a little over $100K, and we have fully reinvested those funds. Now we have about equally 1.55 at each bank, for a total of almost 3.1. Should bring in roughly $110K or so next year, barring any withdrawals. And this is after the land sale. So this is current as of January 31st, the land purchase. So very strong right now, per usual, after collecting all of our property taxes. Capital projects, nothing has changed here, but it will in January due to the approval of the land purchase under capital projects. So this sheet will change. Our CEP took a hit this month. Most of that is it just being December. We were in school 3 weeks, and I think she bought for 3 weeks, but we had the Early County game, as we just mentioned, that most of the kids were going for, and then the Dome Day we were out for. So I think we probably bought more food, in anticipation of being there. And I think that's the main cause for the deficit. I don't think there's any concern. I think it's more of an outlier. SPOS is back up. This would have been December SPOS collected in January, so it makes sense with Christmas. So that's good to see. Show the old one again. Every time I look at it, if you go to April of 20, which would have been March's collections when everything shut down for COVID, you can see the spike and the kind of inflation, but also just the, more folks were at home and ordering online, and I think that trend continued instead of going to Evans and stuff. So not even just the shop locally, as much as just shopping online has helped us tremendously. So we just talked about SPOS, a little under $1 million in SPOS. It's less than the prior year due to the bond and interest payments coming out of this account. No biggie there. Bond, you can see we received about 65% of our projected bond tax in January. And for a total of a little over 2.1. You see the vast difference there. That's due to, the SPOS being less than it was last year. So some of that difference is in there. And I will have more on this in a minute, but total we're sitting at right at 3.1, and we have all of FY 26's and 27's payments. So sitting on a surplus of funds, and we do have a way to finally spend them for good use. Legislative updates. All the teachers and admin will be excited about this one. Governor Kemp is calling for a $2,000 one-time salary supplement in FY 26 in his amended FY 26 budget. Last year he signed that early March, so we should know a lot more at next meeting. He has singled out doing QBE, the full QBE formula for all teachers, but then he has mentioned bus drivers, custodians, nutrition workers, and school nurses personally. So we don't know if he's fully funding them, but that's kind of the talk right now. It passed the House and it's in the Senate, so we'll know more in the next few weeks. This is kind of a small one, but for statewide, the 4.41% increase was $36.5 million, 0.5% almost. And the one that never ends, and I don't know what the fix is to the healthcare crisis, but this is that we've been hearing about this since before he announced it, so we think it's pretty official. It's going to be over $2,000 per person per employee starting 7/1. I don't know what the answer is for that, but it's high and it's not slowing down. Senate Bill 382, what do you need to know? This is basically 581 with no opt-out. So they're doing the same thing. They're giving everybody a floss except for school districts. But there is no option for school districts to opt out. There's no option for anybody to opt out. So this is basically taking away those 3 meetings and all the public participation we did. It could all be a waste if this bill passes. It's been already passed in the Senate, it's in the House. The big one, the scary one, is House Bill 1116. So I think Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida started this. He's pushing for homeowners to not pay any property tax, to exclude your home ownership property tax. And Georgia has their version. So their version, they're advertising it as the elimination of your homestead property tax. Technically, right now, it's not. So there's a $2,000 state homestead exemption. They want to bump it to $10,000 starting this year, this upcoming year, all the way to $60,000 in FY 32. So that would be, I think, 2021. What does that mean? You pay property tax on 40% of your property. So $60,000 is 40% of $150,000. Any home under $150,000 that is qualified for a homestead will not pay any property tax. So there's phases, there's limits to it to get up to it. The scary part in the bill is this 3% deal. So they're basically saying that if our ad valorem property taxes have a 3% or more increase on our budget, that it would have to go up for vote by the county. I don't really understand this, but their biggest deal is to reduce ad valorem property taxes. Why the state is trying to control local spending and local funding, I'm not really sure. And the wild part is they are giving schools up to 2%. So right now we have a 1% SPOS. They're allowing us another 1%. And the city and county have 2% currently, and they're allowing them a 3rd%. The problem is sales tax in the state is capped at 9%. And after our House Bill 581, when the county and city added another one, we are at 9%. So the only way we could pull another SPOS would be to take one from the city and county, and the turmoil that would create. So there's really there's no win here. What is the effect to us? Well, our homestead, as you know, our industry is not a huge backing for us in Lincoln County, and 70% of our land, I think, is in conservation. So 40% of our properties that pay school M&O tax are in homestead. 40% of our.
So that's how many mil? How many is it?
2.5. 2.5 million.
No, mil, that 2.5 million, how many mil
so
that be?
Mil this past year was 455K.
Yeah,
So just
These
under
and that,
6.
5 mil.
Yeah, just
something
under
like that.
6, probably 5.5.
And we're at 13.
We're at 13.789. But there's pushes. Dr. Cunningham watched the video, and they're pushing for you not to raise your millage rate. It's really fascinating to hear how they're talking. And it's a lot of people in Atlanta that have no idea how small districts work, but there's no talk about increasing sales tax, because that was my first thing, is they were gonna move from property tax to sales tax. There's no talk of that, although it's in the bill that you can get another. You can put up for another sales tax via referendum, but it's capped. And they're not touching the 20 mil cap either. We're capped at, you cannot do school tax over 20 mils, and we're not close to that, but they're not even considering that too. This is a huge hit to small school districts.
Well, it's kind of like Brian Kemp's $2,000. That's great for teachers and everybody, but if he's only partial funding it, the rest of it's got to come from us.
Correct, and that's why I didn't do a calculation yet, because he hasn't really said what he's funding. He did say the QBE formula, but he didn't mention, the bus drivers and stuff, if he's funding those 100%, or if he's funding partial,
But we could raise the millage rate
We can raise it,
5.5, and we still under.
we would be,
the law.
right, you're right at 19, so.
Did I misunderstand that the certified teachers will be funded completely, 100%, the 2,000?
The QBE formula, so,
Okay.
we are under, probably 10 to 12 teachers. We're overstaffed
Over.
according to QBE, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay, I
So
follow
they're-
it.
Teachers
They're
are
funding
actual.
the QBE formula,
Yeah.
but not each teacher.
Okay.
And I'll have more on that, as soon as they release, what they're
Is he
expecting.
gonna pay the benefits too?
It's only, I think it only hit Social Security, and last time they did it, so I think it was Christmas of Christmas of 23, we paid it January of 24. They did send us, Social Security and Medicare for that.
Unfunded mandates.
Unfunded mandates.
We don't like those. Y'all need to talk to your representatives. Don't mandate anything unless you're gonna fund it.
So there is the potential negative, so I don't
It's still going
really-
to cost the homeowners. Because if they do this, we still got to raise the millage rate.
On the back
The school's got to have the money, so it's still going to cost the homeowners regardless.
Well,
the
to me,
landowners
it
or-
hits your renters, so, this tax there's no exclusion for rental properties. So your rental landlords are gonna have to increase rent to make up for their tax. So it kills the people that can't afford a home, that are renting. I don't get it. They did say in the meeting that this is the American dream, to grow up, get married, start a family, and buy a home. So that is their push for the homestead exemption. but it just has a lot of flaws in it. So, there will be lots more on that though if this bill passes, and I think sign dies next week, which is the halfway mark. It'll have to get out of the House and into the Senate, or out of the Senate into the House. So we'll know a lot more next week as to where they stand. Any more questions or?
I do have one easy question. How is YOS performing? We getting full benefit out of it?
Absolutely.
I think so. There are a couple things we could add, obviously more money that may be more beneficial that we're looking into. But right now, I think they're pretty smooth. We're trying to go more electric with, teacher applications and stuff to where they can apply and get all their information up front in March, March, April versus coming in July right before they start for their first day of work and having to fill out 100 sheets of paper. So it has a lot of advantages that we have not been using that we are progressing into.
Okay.
There's a summit in the middle of March, and we're sending our staff down there
Okay.
to make sure they can get the questions answered
I
that's
think it's
pertaining to their
third week,
department.
18th and 19th maybe.
It's
And
in
then they're
Adele,
coming-
Georgia.
Where?
Adele, Georgia.
Oh, way down.
Way down.
And now Columbia County is using them, and somehow, well, you know how Columbia County has a lot of pull. They are bringing them to CSRA RESA on March 31st. Did you see that?
Yes.
So they're coming to the area for probably another campaign event, but it should have some benefit that we'll go to.
Good.
The Gen Cloud that we're looking at, right now, if Mr. Norman and his staff wanted to work on payroll or work on accounts payable, they have to come into the office. But this new Gen Cloud allows them to work at home or when they're on staff development. I didn't want to say vacation, but when they at a staff development or professional learning.
The sick kid.
I like that.
And Dylan's babysitting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good.
And it opens up to where principals, department heads can see their budgets live. They don't have to call the board office and say, how much is in my account? They can actually log in and see it for themselves.
Is that important for y'all? It is. Oh, good.
Any other questions on the financials?
I spent a lot of hours recently just looking at the education committees, at the state and senate meetings, and again, it's just like 581. It sounds so good. As a homeowner, it sounds good, but I don't think a lot of people are talking about all the negative. And so when you listen to the committee meetings, you hear both sides. But again, for rural Georgia, that we don't have a lot of industry, it's really gonna hurt us. And I always use the term robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're gonna get the savings over here, but then we gotta raise the millage rate. So then really where's the saving? But Mr. Norman has done a great job over the last couple of days of pulling this together and kind of giving you some actual numbers. And if you want some more numbers, we can crunch those as well.
There'll be more coming. It's gonna change some, hopefully for the better, but we'll be on top of it and providing more every day.
All right, no further questions? School bond advancement, you doing that?
Mr. Norman.
Okay.
Okay, so I touched on it earlier, we're sitting on almost 3.1 million in our bond and SPOS accounts jointly. As you know, if our SPOS in the past was written to where it could only be used for the bond. When I got here, I was told there was nothing we could do with that money. Fortunately, on April 1st of 2025, our Series 2015 bonds became callable, which means we could pay some off. We have a payment due on April 1st for roughly 1.4 million, and we're going to collect SPOS and bond payments from now until then. So I called our guy at Raymond James and asked him what would happen if we just knocked off the final payment. So he sent, and I don't know if I can scroll down on this. So he sent back two scenarios, and the first one was basically what I asked. If we knocked off the final payment on April 1st, 2037, what would it do? And it would save us a little over $71,000 a year in interest for 11 years. And I basically said, okay, well, you sent a second scenario, what's the second scenario? So the second one is the same thing, except he kind of feathered in the principal into years where there may have been a little higher payment. So as you can see on the right column, basically every payment is 1.6 million moving forward. If you go back to scenario one, Dr. Cunningham, you can see some get up to 1.8, mid 1.7s or so. So I asked him, I said, okay, well, what if something happens and we take out another bond in the future? And obviously you can see 2016's bond will be paid off in the next 3-4 years. I said, so what happens if we take out another bond? Is this higher payment gonna hurt us? And he said, no, we would, kind of layer the new bond in between it as they did in the past. So we would never have like a month where the two principals are extremely high and we would, go from a $2 million payment to 3 or 4 or so. So he's gonna keep it structured for us as good as he can. And, I said, but why would we not do this? And he said, if you're making over 4% on your money, then there's no reason to. But if you're not, go ahead and pay it off and save on interest. Our bond and SPOS account, I think, make 1.15% interest or something small. So I see no reason not to save $787,600 over the remainder of the bonds.
And knock off a full year, so.
So the only other question is when. So they have to give a 30-day advance to the bondholders that their the bond is being called, which means they'll receive their money back. So we can start it as early as tomorrow, or we could do it along with the April 1st payment or on April 1st, 2026. So it's kind of up to y'all when we do it, or if you're interested, but I think this is a huge win for our school system. I mean, that's basically the land that we just purchased. That's basically savings over time back.
And if the SPOS continues like it's going, and maybe do it again next year? That's a possibility, or 2 years?
I wouldn't say next year, I'd say in a few years.
So, of the two options, which one are you recommending?
The scenario one with the bigger savings. So the only difference is that our total annual payments are a little higher in this one, but it knocks off that last year. So we would basically pay it off a year early with the same funds.
Okay.
So what is our bond fund dollar amount right now? What is it?
3 million.
2.2, and
Okay,
our SPOS is just under $1 million. Their total like 3.1 million.
so run the numbers real quick. So we're gonna pay $1,800,000 out of
Okay.
2.1 or what?
We'll pay 1.8
Okay,
as an advancement for
Right,
this. And
right.
then we owe 1.4, which is a total of 3.2. And we have 2 more months to collect that. We have February's SPOS and bond payments and March's SPOS and bond payments before we write the check. So barring any crazy,
Mhm.
I mean, if we collect 75K in SPOS over the next 2 months, we're fine.
So when we pay it, what's our balance gonna be on our fund? How much will we have?
Total,
Yeah,
probably be down to 150K.
okay.
But then it'll, SPOS will build back up to pay the interest payments in October. We'll be fine by that. And then we'll collect our bond tax next year again in January for the following April's payment. So
One more question, a little step back. If all this goes through, when will it affect us? I mean,
the payment,
no, I'm backing up one
oh,
step.
The bill, the House
The-
bill.
Yeah, the
so it
homestead,
will
exemption,
start in FY '27, but it's only supposed to go.
which
up
would
to
be
10K.
July of '27 before it would,
But your property taxes are due in December, so that's when it would hit, when we
Okay.
collect those. It will hit on this next budget, yes.
Okay. I just,
But it's only supposed to go from 2K to 10K.
For how many years? Was it 3 years or 4
I think
years?
it's 3. I think
And
it's
then the
26,
up to 60.
27, 28, and then it's supposed to jump to 30. But the bill also says up to, so they didn't list anything in between, but I guess they have the power to change it in between. It says up to 10 for 3 years, up to 30 for the next 2, and up to 60 for the next 2.
I just hope we're not gonna have a gap between going from the old way to the new way where we're gonna be way short. That's why I was asking.
I don't think so, mainly because we're bringing in about $500,000 more a year from our payments we're bringing in $500,000 more a year in SPOS and bond combined than our payments. So we should have that money basically added to the general fund almost instantly.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Norman, on option 2, was it a level annual payment?
Correct.
So
was
does
the
that help
change.
you in projecting? So,
I mean,
because if you had a
possibly.
bad year, I mean, how much difference in savings versus that in one?
About 300K, I think.
Oh, significant.
That's 500,000 savings in the bottom right corner, and then I think the other one was like
Right at
And it doesn't take the whole year off. So
something.
Pardon me?
it doesn't take the year off of it.
Oh,
Still
okay.
be paying in
I'm just looking at that
2037.
number's bouncing around.
Yeah.
It hops, but it has been. I think when I first got here, we were in the 1.5, high 1.5s. Now we're in the 1.7s, but you see with this 71,000 decrease per year, it's dropping at the 1.6s.
Okay.
You know, it gradually goes up, but it also accounts for, you know, your bond tax growing a little bit with your new building stuff in the county and your SPOS growing, which it has been, hopefully.
So the only advantage for option 2, of course, you save a lot less money, is you have an annual level
Kind of a
cost.
Flat rate pay, correct.
Okay.
Now, so we threw this on you, and again, if you decide
Oh,
to
it's
table it,
Yeah,
it's just a lot of savings, $71,600 a year, and then wiping out a whole full year. We can get you more numbers if you need to, because I heard some good questions. But Mr. Norman, I think, has done the calculations, and you can hear it, but
What would be your timeline for implementing this? Is it just something you want to action tonight, or is this something?
I do have the action item, so recommending
Tomorrow.
option 1,
Okay.
scenario
I
1.
would like to do it as soon as possible.
Okay. I'm just asking.
But we did, Dr. Gummy and I did discuss it, and if we need to table it to another, next meeting or something, then that's, you know, we don't wanna feel like, I mean, we think it's a great idea, but, you know, we wanna make sure everybody's on board with it. And I think it's definitely be good to cut us back from 37 to 2036, and save $800,000 over that period of time. But,
This knocks our debt down basically $3 million as well, so we owe like 17.5 right now, it would knock it down to 14.5. Right around it, like 2.9 or something,
right,
our principal down, which would help a lot if we did have to take another bond out.
And this SPLOST money is earning what, 1 point something, you said?
1.1 or 1.15.
And it's not, you cannot put that in a CD? Okay. Because aren't they doing much better?
3.5.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as people still buying stuff, we're in good shape.
No,
Yeah, we're gonna probably have a lot more problems if this goes bad. I mean, that ain't gonna be the only problem.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna have,
The zombie apocalypse.
yeah.
And obviously, all the funds we have now can only be used for the bond, but your question was good, what if we needed that SPOS money, for, you know, M&O purposes down the road, that would be our hit. Is when could we dive into?
Yeah.
well, we can't use it for M&O yet until we exhaust this existing SPLOST, right?
I think it swaps, and I think you just have to keep the money separate.
Okay.
So you would have an account over here for your bond only, and then you would have your new bond and SPOS.
Okay.
That's what we just voted in, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
and I don't like to look at it like that, but in the event that something does go wrong with this, then that's what the money we've got in the banks is for, to cover us until we can get it straightened out. You know, I think that's why we're putting that there, to cover us in the event that we have a problem. I don't foresee that being the case, but if it did, we're okay.
And you recommended option 1, Dr. Gordon,
Option 1,
right?
yes, sir. Scenario 1.
With the most savings.
I'll make a motion to go with option 1.
Yeah, I second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Heitman, a second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you, Dylan, for
Very
saving us and making us money.
Hope it all works out.
All right.
All right, our next is policies for review.
You have both policies in front of you, and there are no additions or corrections to the current policies. And you've seen those before, conflict of interest with board members, when you actually signed up and signed off on that, you would adhere to all of those procedures.
And then our superintendent's report.
All right, if you can click on that for me, Dr. Cunningham. College and Career Fair will be next week at is gym or the cafeteria? Which one? Cafeteria this year. Thursday, next Thursday. So if you are and can make it, we'd love to have you. And it starts at 1:30?
Yes, sir.
1:30 till 4 o'clock. It's been a success every single year. She does a great job. That's all I have.
No other questions? I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion
Motion
to
by
go into
Mr.
executive
Madison.
session.
Second by Mr. Munger. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. The superintendent's made a motion, or the superintendent has recommended, and I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Arisha Norman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Britt McKinney as the LCES Assistant Principal.
Second.
Second by Ms. Daniel, all in favor?
Abstain.
Abstained by Mr. Madison. Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Thomas Madison as the LCHS English teacher. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor?
Abstain.
Abstained by Mr. Madison. Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Allison Eccles as the LCHS Healthcare Science teacher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Jacqueline Cobb as the LCHS Business teacher. Second, Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Jessica Mack as the Lincoln County Middle School SPED teacher. Second, Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent is recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Brittany Cartledge as the LCMS Students Social Studies teacher. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Alicia Leverett as the LCES SPED paraprofessional. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Harold Bennett as a substitute custodian.
Second.
Second, Mr. Madison, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Dawn Lambert Jones as a substitute teacher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we hire Maddie Christian as a substitute school nutrition. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we rescind the resignation of Anna Duncan from May 30th, 2026.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we approve the teacher list from the Lincoln County Elementary School as presented to us.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we approve the Lincoln County Middle School teacher recommendations list as presented to us.
Second.
Second by Ms.
I'm
Daniel.
gonna abstain from that one. I got a family member.
Okay.
At the middle school.
All in favor except Mr. Madison, he's abstaining from that one. Superintendent's recommended, and I make a motion that we approve the Lincoln County High School teacher recommendation list as presented to us. Second by Ms. Daniel, all in favor? And I think I covered everything that we need a motion to adjourn. Second, motion by Mr. Madison, second by Mr. Munger.